Hello everyone. In this video, you will learn how to use jQuery plugin Smart Wizard within the SharePoint framework SPFX. This is a three-part series. The first part you will learn more of how to enable the Smart Wizard jQuery plugin within SharePoint SPFX. I would add the basic HTML file to display the Smart Wizard. And the part 2 is about adding bootstrap controls and enable some of the bootstrap controls within the Smart Wizard. And I would take one scenario of enabling the organisms which I have in the animal taxonomy. So I would add the controls based on the list items which it has. And in part 2 also I would discuss about enabling the property pane so that some of the customization of the Smart Wizard can be done through the property wizard. And part 3 is about enabling the PNP.js for adding the list item through the wizard and also uploading a picture file for the animal, which I mentioned you about the animal taxonomy, and updating to the list item. So that would complete the whole scenario of using the Smart Wizard within the SPFX. To start with the Smart Wizard on SPFX, these are the required commands you should follow. As usual, it depends on the jQuery and also the Bootstrap 4. You need the Bootstrap 4 and also the jQuery. PNP.js is for creating the list items. So that is not mandatory for part 1, but for part 3 it is mandatory. And the other optional item is the font awesome. I would say that in my scenario, font awesome is really used. I'm not sure about in some of the scenarios how these are used in case-to-case basis. Some people tend to use the Fluent UI icons, which comes with the Office core, Office Fluent UI core, and I'm used to font awesome. So I always use the font awesome within the Bootstrap. The second way, you need to enable it in your code using the require method. So these are the mandatory thing you should add to make it to work. You should make sure the Smart Wizard is imported into your project using require and also the CSS fields. These CSS, it depends on the theme you use. It has several themes. So later I would go through, and depends on that you can enable or disable. Based on that you can import. Let me go through what is Smart Wizard first. So Smart Wizard is a jQuery plugin. This is the URL you can see. You can download it in GitHub. The project is already in the GitHub and it is open source. Basically, that wizard is kind of step 1, 2, 3. Imagine a scenario you have certain wizard kind of approach to add an item or to upload a file. Say kind of an application form which you are filling in, it takes you to through 3 forms and finally you are uploading everything into SharePoint. So you can use a nice jQuery form of Smart Wizard. It takes you to several steps by next, and then finally you will have finish or cancel. These are configurable. Some of the parameters are configurable. They have few themes as well. The arrow theme, the circle theme. Circle theme is more of circular. It changes the color. And the dots theme, it's more of installation wizard. It goes through several steps and at the bottom you can have a text. And also they have the input validation. You do the validation of steps when you do the next operation. So for example, in this scenario, it doesn't allow you to move next unless you fill in your email column. And even the email column, it will look for specific format. So this comes from the Bootstrap validator. They even validate the email format, number format, phone format. So the validation is also in place. It doesn't allow to move next. And it has several features like grayed out feature, and it also has some events capturing in. So when you click on next, you know which step you are in. So based on that, you can process. And similarly, let me go back. They have the model dialog. When you click on that, you can see the dialog based wizard also in your form. This also you can implement it in your project. So this becomes like a model dialog. So this has a several feature. That's why I most of the time use the smart wizard in some of my projects within the SharePoint framework. So let's start creating the project. The first step in creating the project is, as usual, I run the yo command. In this, I create a solution with the name Smart Wizard Part 1, and the web part name is Smart Wizard WP. I'm going to execute this command. It would ask for tenant level, so no, that's it. So it would start creating the SPFX framework. After that, you need to run those mandatory npm command. And so now the command is completed. The project has been created. I will open that in the Visual Studio. Okay, I opened the project in the Visual Studio with the PowerShell terminal on. Now I'm going to run those required commands one by one, so that all the basic necessary which is needed will be installed. So first I'm going to run the npm jQuery command. Let me install the jQuery first. I'm going to install the jQuery. So npm I. Okay, this will install the latest jQuery for me in the project. Next, I'm going to install the jQuery types. This will install the jQuery types needed. Next is about the Bootstrap. Bootstrap 4 version is the one which is recommended for Smart Wizard. I'll install the Bootstrap 4. Next, I would install the Bootstrap types required for the Bootstrap to work on. The next installation is about the Smart Wizard. So in my steps, I have mentioned you the PNP.js and the Font-Awesome, but PNP.js is not required for part 1. Maybe in the part 3 series, we may need the PNP.js to query or to insert the item. And Font-Awesome is optional, but maybe in the part 2, I would install the Font-Awesome for me, because I would create the controls with the Font-Awesome, the Bootstrap controls with the Font-Awesome. So in the part 2 series, I will install the Font-Awesome. So now whatever required for the Smart Wizard is now done. Let me configure jQuery and the Bootstrap in config.json file. This is one of the mandatory steps for jQuery, Bootstrap, plus the Smart Wizard. So basically what I'm going to do is just add some configuration steps. And these configuration steps, which are essential for these 3 components. Let me grab those steps from existing code. For example, I have it here. Okay, so this step is mandatory. In the externals, you should add the jQuery, Bootstrap, and the Smart Wizard in the config.json file. So then move on to the main component file. So here I am going to add the essentials of importing those component in. So let me first introduce it to here, go to the main project, and I need to add these several steps. Let me do that. This one, this one, this one. Okay, I'm going to import it here. So basically these are the steps. These are the steps. You need to import the jQuery, Bootstrap. Probably you can use just the required Bootstrap, because some of the bootstrap.js component might not import if you just use the import function. For me, the import function didn't import, so I started to use require. And if you are going to change the theme often, then it is a good idea to import all the themes CSS. But if you are just particular about one theme, you can just stick onto any one of the CSS. And you need to import the Smart Wizard and the Bootstrap CSS. So the initial import is done. I'm just going to change this HTML to have a Bootstrap template later so that you can have it. Then I need to have a jQuery statement, which is the jQuery ready function, and this is the initial function. I should do that. And let me go back to Smart Wizard and grab the HTML from there. So the basic HTML template, they already have it here. You can copy from there. This is the basic template. I'm going to copy this and just add it into my function. What I do is I just grab it and paste it here. So this is the Smart Wizard template. I just copied from the site so that you just have the basic thing working on. And finally, I will have to let me get the Smart Wizard. I need to find out the Smart Wizard with the ID. Hash with the ID, and I need to initialize that with, I'm just any, and get the Smart Wizard component and initialize it. Smart Wizard. That's it. So that's the way you initialize your, if you see here, the jQuery option, that's the way you initialize it. So the script component is here. You just have to initialize with the Smart Wizard. Smart Wizard, let me follow the same format. Okay, so hopefully this should work. Let me run the gulp serve, then let's find out how it works. I'm going to run the gulp serve. Let's see how. While the gulp serve is running, yes, I opened the workbench. Gulp service started kicking in and subtask is running, webpack, and finally it should be ready for reload. Ready for reload. Yes, I can reload now. So hopefully I can see the wizard. My project name is Smart Wizard. SPFX Smart Wizard. Okay, so now it is working. You can see here it has initialized with the default theme with the default button. So I didn't do much of the changes. So it is a default setting for the Smart Wizard. You can even change the theme with the parameter. If you see here, there is a parameter you can pass in. You can just initialize the theme with the parameters, which is called theme : maybe arrows. So what it does is it would initialize with the arrow theme. Okay, complete. Now I'm going to refresh with the arrow theme. Hopefully the arrow theme works. Yes. So you can see the arrow theme is also applicable. So now the basic of the smart wizard is done. All the steps have been done properly. So now the component is working. This is about the end of part 1. So in part 2, I would take you through customizing the smart wizard and adding the bootstrap controls for the specific scenarios. Uh, the full source code for part 1 will be available in GitHub. Stay tuned for the part 2 series as well. Look out for the description for the URL on the GitHub. Thank you so much.